Hi, Maninder. Thank you so much for giving us your time and agreeing to interview with us. For the viewers, may we request you to please share your journey and your story in your own words?
Thank you, Dikshita. First of all, I would like to thank Experts Global for supporting me throughout this journey. So I'll tell you, when I started, I was clueless about this process. So it was back in March 2020. The nation went into lockdown and I had nothing to do.
All right.
So I called a few of my friends who were already either preparing for MBA, GMAT, or into colleges. So I asked them, what's this GMAT all about?
Mm-hmm.
And initially I took it quite casually, like just out of curiosity, I started to look into the process of how to crack GMAT. And it took me a few months to get my process streamlined. By June, I was totally into my preparation part.
Okay.
So, and after 3 hard attempts, I was able to get my golden score. So,
That's
and
great.
then started the tough application process and the interview process. And that is when one of my friends told me about Experts Global. Applying to colleges with, writing those personal essays and all, it's a lot of work. GMAT is all about clearing the exam based on your aptitude or presence of mind. But this was completely different. So those who have maybe cracked GMAT, I'll tell you, this is half of the journey done. The rest of it is pending still.
Right.
So Experts Global was supportive enough to listen to all my perspectives about how I want to present myself or how I want my journey to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then they helped me frame, pick and choose those particular, let's say, stories for different schools. Basically, they picked and choose and helped me to present the best of me to each and every college that I applied to.
Mm-hmm.
And then was the rigorous interview process. I still remember my first interview with Experts Global when I was completely nervous. I was reading through lines. I actually made a script of how would I present myself the very first time.
Oh,
From that to cracking interviews for one of the most prestigious B schools in India, Indian School of Business. It was a great journey so far, and
okay.
Experts Global has been a big part of it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So, in your opinion, what are a few factors or actions you took that made all the difference?
Okay, see, the first thing is the GMAT is definitely a tough exam, but it doesn't take a very big, it is tough, but it is still not hard enough to crack. So the thing is repetitive practice, and all it takes is your commitment towards the end goal.
All right.
You of course are not going to succeed in one go. If it takes 3 months for you, it's fine. If it takes 6 months for you, it's fine. There's no definite protocol to target this exam. The only thing you can do is not giving up.
Okay, right. Yeah, not giving up is the key. So, with the benefit of hindsight, what are a few mistakes you believe you committed in the process?
When this journey starts, most of us are clueless. This exam looks like a big thing to us, although it is as well. So the thing is, as I mentioned, the country went into lockdown. I had nothing to do. So I picked up PDF of questions, started solving those questions offline without giving myself a break. So I used to sit on for 8 hours a day, and I focused on, let's say, I thought, let's finish the quant part first. We'll deal with the verbal later. And I was quite weak in verbal as well. So that part I had to work upon a lot. So the mistake here was that I was not giving myself enough time to absorb the kind of questions I was doing. And secondly, I was, maybe doing 10 questions and looking up at those answers and if I was wrong or right. So I was not, the mode of preparation I believe for GMAT is that, let's say you have given a test, you've taken a test and you got 30 questions out of 36 right. Do not look at just those 6 questions that you got right wrong. You also have to look at those 30 you got right, because you never know if your thought process is matching with the exact solution that they wanted you to. And that's why what I didn't do in the beginning. So that was a big mistake.
Yeah, I'm sure, like, the future aspirants can learn from your mistake and then take inspiration from how you also corrected yourself. Going back to the GMAT preparation phase, what were the main GMAT resources you used and what advice will you give to the future candidates?
OG is the Bible for GMAT, the official guide. And this is just a personal preference that I did not go for the hard book. I went for the online one, and see, because the module that they've designed online. So basically it makes you, gives you a habit to sit in front of a computer, as well as, it gives you a timed practice of whatever you're doing. So with GMAT, you're not just supposed to go through the questions correctly, but within a stipulated amount of time as well. So the first was OG and second was I took up those tests from GMAT Club. So basically they were around 20, 25. I don't remember the number now, but there were quite a lot of verbal and quant tests available on GMAT Club that I took. And eventually, as a bar raiser, I went for the Manhattan ones. So they used to provide around six, one free and five other GMAT, full-length GMAT tests. So I went for that. So these are the basic resources that I use. Plus, as well as I would want the candidates to be aware of the latest improvements because I took GMAT in October 2020 last. So maybe if after that some pattern has changed or not, be aware of the newest advancements happening there. And there is a lot of free material as well available on GMAT Club. People are very happy to share. They are happy to share their notes. Take advantage of all of those resources.
All right. That's actually quite helpful. So, coming back to your experience, what would you like to say about your learnings from managing the application timeline?
Okay, this is a tough one. So this is where my expertise ended and Experts Global joined the journey. This is funny. After taking the GMAT, I took a month's break just to celebrate the happiness of cracking my GMAT exam. I would suggest the candidates not do that because that's an early celebration. So what I did was I actually looked at the school rankings and talked to a few alums of those schools to which I have wanted to apply to. So the thing is that every other B schools actually wants to know all about your journey, all about your experience, and what kind of person you are. The questions are more or less similar. Once you have written a thorough journey about yourself, your thorough things about the kind of experiences that you've had, the learnings that you've had, the challenges you've faced. It's more about sorting that information according to the B school essay, basically, in which particular way that question has been asked. It's more about framing your words into answering those questions rather than creating a new story for each and every essay. I think I remember there was an 11 questionnaire, like 11 questions were provided to me to answer something very basic and sometimes in very particular about my journey. And then post that, it was more of a pick and choose process to, apply to the school essays. So that was it.
So, can you please describe your interview experiences with the B schools?
I think this is a hard truth. The first interview never goes right for most of us. And the first thing that you have to remember is that do not be sad about. There's a reason we do apply to a lot of schools rather than just one or two, because there's always a probability associated with you. So even if you do well, maybe you're not a good fit with the school in terms of your experience or in terms of number of years of experience or the profile that you have. So there are a lot of factors. But when it comes to the interview experience, it is more about being thorough with the job. Of course, see, career is a great part of GMAT. It is actually the most separating part from the other exam, the CAT exam, because freshers apply to CAT and we're coming up with experience. So they want to know how you've grown as a professional. So that is a big part of that interview process. Be thorough with the resume, be thorough with your experience. Do have some stories about your achievements, your learnings, even your weaknesses. They just want to know you from end to end.
Right.
And yeah, secondly is these schools always have, so when they're interviewing a candidate, they do want to be sure of that, okay, this person is hireable.
Mhm.
And hiring process not just involves your experience, it involves your soft skills as well. It involves the way you deal with situations, the stressful ones or the normal ones, how you deal with your peers. Are you a team player or not? So there's a lot of information involved in that, and these schools eventually they want you to be hireable to the company, and that is what they're actually looking for.
All right. Okay. Quite an eventful journey, I would say, like the interview experiences with these schools. There's a lot. Yeah, it's like very wholesome also. I think figure out ourselves and discover ourselves in the process. So, can you please tell us more about your MBA experience?
So MBA is all about learning new stuff, making network, and dealing with each and everything by giving them appropriate amount of time. You are supposed to make friends there. You're supposed to build networks. You're supposed to excel in your studies. You're also, preparing for interviews parallelly. And it is all about the time management here. It's not that hard, but eventually it's not that easy because time management is a big key to managing your MBA as well. If you're not good at that, you cannot be a nerd. And I'm sorry, I'm using this word. You see, it's all about the balance in the MBA's life. So if they wanted a hardcore professional, a person who is just into studies, they would, they would not hire an MBA. They would just get a PhD from that field.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about fulfilling all the parameters that, that could be associated with managing people, managing your work, and managing your personal life. That is all about.
Striking the right balance. Absolutely. So, how do you think the entire pre application phase as well as the MBA experience has contributed to your growth as a person and in your career as well?
I think it definitely broadens your perspective towards your profession and your life as well. You maybe when you first come through that essay of tell me about, not that essay, a question, simple question like tell me about yourself. Some people would start off with their childhood, somebody would start with their career, but there's more to that thing basically. So, and I'm specifically focusing on this question because this is one of the most favorite questions any B school would ask you or any professional company would ask you. It is more about knowing yourself. It is also more about knowing how exactly can you present yourself in a way that you are fulfilling the needs of the other party you're sitting in front of.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to know more about yourself besides knowing more about the industry and the profession that you are going to enter. So it's journey of professional as well as mental growth for an individual.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's true. So, coming to suggestions, like what are a few common mistakes you would suggest the GMAT aspirants to avoid?
Okay. First of all, please do not cram stuff. Please do not, go through those materials and start remembering formulas. It is more about, see, GMAT exam it's an adaptive exam, by the way. If you do good in one question, the next one is going to be of a higher level. That is how your scores go up or down, by the way.
Right.
So cramming is definitely not an option. It would take you a million attempts to get it right if you go that way. It
Okay.
is more about opening up your mind for multiple possibilities. See, it is about finding out a solution while considering those possibilities that could be there, right? It is all about building your perspective in a way that, okay, so I think I'm focusing more on the quant part here, and I'll, specifically tell you about the verbal part as well, that I used to struggle in verbal. It took me 3 attempts just to improve my verbal score. My quant score remained the same throughout. Do not, of course, do not cram and do not practice just for the sake of it. I'm telling you, like there's one specific thing I want to mention here, that when you're preparing with the official guide,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you would not find the solutions to the given question quite relevant, or sometimes they would just say ki this this sentence in sentence correction looks awkward, and you still do not have an idea about why that was awkward. So I think one of the sources that I used was on GMAT Club. There's a person called GMAT Ninja. He's such a helpful guy. He's actually an MBA tutor, GMAT tutor as well.
Right.
So
Okay.
if you're struggling through a question on official guide, please Google that question. The first link you'll find is from GMAT Club only. And
Mm-hmm.
do use GMAT Club end to end. See, it is all about learning from that mistake that you did, because of course the questions are not going to be repeated ever. It is about you learning those concepts, not cramming them, but understanding them from the depth
Right.
and applying those solutions later.
Yeah, that's
And
true.
yeah, this is the thing throughout. This is MBA's life, by the way. It is all about uncertainty and solving those unstructured problems and giving them a solution out of it. So that is all about the MBA.
Right. Yeah, because you can never stop learning. So, yeah,
Exactly.
that's true. So, what would be your final message to all the GMAT aspirants and MBA applicants watching this video?
Okay, I would say it is very easy to start
Right.
because you may have seen your friend doing it, or you have nothing else to do like I did. But eventually, if you have committed to it, even if you are providing, of course, like most of the people who are preparing for GMAT are working professionals, and we are not comfortable with putting our jobs out, and with the whole uncertainty ahead, nobody would do that. So you have to prepare before GMAT along with the job. Do not overstress yourselves. Maybe 2 hours a day initially would be fine, and it is more about learning from those 2 hours rather than giving it an extended amount of time out of nervousness. Eventually, you can start increasing the hours you're putting into it. But make sure, there's one more point that I missed, that GMAT allows you to select your exam slot So make sure whatever practice you're doing for GMAT exam, you're doing it in preferably in those slots so that you train your mind in such a way that you're going through an exam whenever you're practicing. And it is all about practice. It is all about not giving up until you get it. It doesn't matter if it takes you 5 attempts. If you have done it, you have done it. Nobody would ask questions why it took you 5 attempts. But do not give up.
Absolutely. So thank you so much, Maninder, for giving your valuable suggestions. So, and thank you for giving us your time, and congratulations on the successful completion of your MBA. Yeah, all the best, and
Thank you, ma'am.
take care.
It was,
Yeah, it
yeah,
was
sure.
great talking
Nice
to
talking
you.
to you.
Yeah,
Same here, ma'am. Same here. Thank you.
thank you so
Have a good
much.
day.